Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Let's Play Greece in Victoria 2, number 10. We left off, as you can see, in a pretty intense Great War. It's essentially over now. We just don't have any diplomatic points to actually enforce our peace terms. And I do believe we have one or two that we still want to add. We've really gone ahead and added most of what we want from all the great powers. We're taking some land from Russia, we're taking some land from France, we're taking Tunisia, I want to say, yeah, Tunisia, and we're taking a whole bunch of Ottoman territories. They'll still have a little bit left in the Yugoslav regions. That's just gonna have to happen, since there's really not all that much we can do and still be under, and still be under 100 war score. In fact, with our allies' war goals, we're a bit over that, but that doesn't really matter too much since we're not really going to take our allies' war goals into consideration. The main reason for that being that we are pretty just grossly over the infamy limit, and we're really just going to get even worse about that from here on out. We're fabricating a Casus Belli against Persia, and we're really just going to keep on keeping on. Once you get over 25, there's really no reason to stop. And I'm thinking that we're actually going to give our people elections just so that we can take on one of our more radical parties. Will probably unlock fascism pretty soon, and we might just become a fascist state in some ways. We'll probably try to keep the monarchy, but fascists do get an event that just kind of overthrows the government, and that would probably happen fairly quickly. But you can only actually become fascist if you have a constitutional monarchy. Actually, it's odd, but if you are just a straight-up totalitarian state, an absolute monarchy, then you don't actually have the right to select a fascist ruling party in Victoria 2. Which is kind of odd. You would think that, you know, an absolute monarchy would be able to implement whatever political party they wanted, but no, that's just not the case. At any rate, we're going to start moving our forces back, since there's really no reason to keep them all in the sort of war-fighting footing that they're already in. We're probably going to keep a pretty decent-sized garrison in the... oh man, I forget the name. The Caspian Mountains, isn't it? Hopefully the Caspian Mountains. I think so. Well, no, it'd be the Caucasus Mountains, because those are the Caucasus. I don't know where the Caspians are, then. At any rate, yeah, Caucasus. So yeah, we're going to be pulling a decent amount of our troops there. We'll keep some forces, which we already have, just right here, so we don't really need to do anything. We're going to definitely have to have more troops in Africa, because that's going to be the place where all of the empires of the world come bludgeon into us. And they're going to be doing that for the rest of time. We will also keep a good portion of our forces in Europe for the same reason. And just kind of hope for the best. At least with Europe, though, we can just pull forces fairly rapidly from other parts of the empire. Not so much with Africa, although we do have this contiguous land connection. It's just a little bit janky, but it'll get better as we keep conquering peoples. At any rate, let's go ahead and take a look at the war score. And discounting all of our allies, we're at 88% war score. So that's not bad. We can add 12 more, probably only 11 just to be safe. Well, actually, let's take a look at that. Well, I guess we can't really see. No, we could probably give it a look. But how would I set this up? Alright, oh wow, they would even accept a 101. That's kind of neat. Alright, so in that case we do have a 12-ish war score that we can still add, I guess just because of the weird rounding that takes place at this sort of level of conquests. And they still have 3 states left, but we only have 12 war score. So let's see. It'd be 15 war score to free Serbia, which we don't really want to do anyway. And I guess we can't do. But we could go after North Macedonia, and then southern Serbia perhaps, and Ottoman Montenegro would just have to be left for the future. Go ahead and add that guy. Alright, and we can fight 2 more wars against the Ottomans in, you know, the rest of history. That's not really something I think we'll have a lot of difficulty in, you know, accomplishing. We'll also probably move the more advanced portion of our navy out to let the Germans go roll into the UK, and we may as well get their war exhaustion up quite a bit, which will hopefully lead to them just being in a slew of constant rebellions and civil wars, and, you know, thereby less effective in actually fighting us. Once this war ends and an era of just constant foreign interventions begins. Which it will. There's really no getting around that. Hopefully we're able to get our forces here in time to reinforce. Okay, cool, the Germans did it, and that is great news. So we'll just keep our forces back. Where are they going? Going over to Inguzam. The Germans are following them. They'll get there in December. We'll get there in November if we choose to, and we will. Alright, and we can already add another war goal. Let's see. 8, which would bring that up to 14, so we can't actually afford that. Alright, we should be able to do this. I'm just going to double check just to be safe that it didn't round in any weird ways. Ooh, okay, so we're kind of pushing it. We might be able to get it, we might not. We'll go ahead and add it and hope for the best. Alright, and next month we'll be able to peace out. There were something like 3 million casualties on the side of, I'm just going to call them the Allies, since they are, well, really most of the Allied powers. At least, well, I guess the Entente. And it doesn't look like we'll actually have enough time to get Germans into the UK. So they'll have to go through history with an army still. And more or less being a state. Let's see. We'll go ahead and get all these admin efficiency things since we do need it. And we are going to have quite a few peoples not of our culture. We already do quite a bit. So let's look at administrative map modes. We really needed all those administrative reforms a long time ago. But it's better that we get them now than never. Go ahead and park our navy. And now is time for peace. So sorry, literally all of our allies. I guess we could get the Germans 1 war score of stuff. Alright, and we get everything we want. In fact, French Baluchistan is 0 infamy. I wonder if we could add anything else for literally 0 infamy. Like French Panama? May as well give it a try. Oh yeah, huh. 0 infamy for French Panama. I mean, we wouldn't be able to defend it literally at all. So is there anything closer? Maybe Gibraltar. Gibraltar would be good to have. Oh, but that's actually war score to take. Alright. Province would probably also be war score. Yeah, it'd be a lot. Shockingly a lot, actually. Alright, well there's not really anything else that we need to any great extent. Could take Basque Congo or French Angola. That doesn't really help us in any real way. Maybe Algiers? I bet it's a state, actually. No. Alright, we'll just add French Panama. No reason not to. For 0 war score, I mean, may as well have the Panama Canal. Alright, and they're offering us peace, but we don't really want it at the moment. And we'll just park our navy and we should be good to go as soon as next month rolls around. And then we don't even have to give anything to our allies, and that's kind of cool. Maybe we won't even be able to. Alright, new elections. We are, well, just less conservative. And we don't actually have enough diplomatic points yet, so we'll just kind of keep going the course. Now, I do want to be jingoistic, as that is probably going to help us in the long run. especially since we're getting all these negative events for our war score generation. And that'll really be the next thing we need to go and do, is just go defeat the Persians. Now, we also still don't have any domestic tank production because we haven't gone state capitalist. And if we do go state capitalist, they're not actually going to be jingoistic, I don't believe. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and propose this peace now. Alright, every single one of our demands. Let's take one final look at the Greek Empire. Alright, so we've taken over quite a bit of the Ottoman lands. Oh my god, what? Did we forget Armenia? Ew. Alright, well, whatever. We'll take Armenia later on in a different war. That's nothing terrible. And we're making just a tremendous amount of money. So that's very cool. Alright, well, yeah. So, there we go. Now into Persia, and then from that, we'll just keep moving forward. We'll stop taxing the rich. We'll stop taxing the middle. In fact, we'll probably just switch over to our jingoistic party while everyone is rich. And we're actually going to go ahead and immediately start taxing the middle class again. Alright, and into Persia. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of a grace period before the rest of the world just starts declaring war on us every other day. But, you know, I'm not really sure what the likelihood is of that. Oh, and look, Germany's discovered fascism. How nice for them. We just got our casus belli ready to go on the Persians, so we'll go ahead and... Ooh, we'd have to remove Egypt from our sphere. We do need to do that. Should have done that earlier, though. Well, we'll remove them from our sphere right now. We'll also go ahead and justify war against Ethiopia. Or really, we could justify against pretty much anybody right now. All of these countries are going to break away from us now that we're over the infamy limit. Oh, we don't want to do too much diplomatic activity since we don't actually have anything in the way of diplomatic points right now. So we'll go after Luristan right now. I believe that will cost us our diplomatic point, but we'll just start rolling into their countryside. And this should be a fairly quick little war. Alright, and we can recruit quite a few extra soldiers. We should really be doing that now. We'll just get dragoons still, since we don't have the technology to do really anything else at the moment. Let's see. And we're going to be rather infantry heavy. It's not really the greatest thing, but it's not the worst either. Alright. Hopefully those units don't, you know, really become necessary, but, I mean, if they do, better to have them than not. And I wonder if we have any of our forces just chilling in various places around the world where they don't need to be. It doesn't really look like it. So that's good. We didn't really do any military campaigning over in the rest of the world. And I don't see any reason to start now. Alright, so what do we need to do? Well, interestingly enough, we're the second ranked great power, and that's very nice. And maybe we'll become the first over time. We do have another diplomatic point, and that's very good. We could liberate a country out of Egypt. I don't know who we would be liberating, though. We'll just go ahead and steal one of their states. Or I guess earn one of their states through conflict and war and all that. And yeah, just keep getting those admin texts. And smashing Persian territory. We'll just go run into their army. Hopefully they don't have gas defense. Or I guess defense against gas attack. And at some point we're going to start removing all of these countries from our sphere of influence and just rolling them up. We may as well have direct control. Alright, and our forces will just keep on plowing forward. At some point we are going to get declared war upon by the other great powers of the world, just due to our tremendous infamy. Although I think if we get to a point where we're powerful enough, they might just not do anything. And that would be even better. An interesting question would be if we are actually strong, or if Romania has a small enough population of Romanians that we'd be able to go in and puppet them. And if they do, then that would probably be the thing. That could be our next target. Although they do have a pretty high relation of us, so it may not be the most practical thing right now. And we could just go ahead and kick Hejaz out of our sphere of influence. I know we did just fight a war for that, but it shouldn't matter too much. We'll just kick them out right now, and that should be fine. We actually have 4 years before we can go to war with them, so that was a little early. Quick to the draw, I guess you could say. Will Persia make peace with us? They will. Go ahead and accept that. And now we have an extra state, and our borders look a little bit more sensible. So that's good. Go move all of our people back out of Persia. And we also do need to go to war with places like Afghanistan, so we'll probably aim for them next, just to take over that area, and then Punjab after them. So let's start moving our forces up against the Egyptians. Oh, right, we need to turn this off, because that really doesn't matter anymore right now. Oh, it looks like they have reactionaries, not as though that really matters since they're already civilized. And we do have a lot of armies just getting created at this point, and that's very good. Those will hopefully all just meet up in Constantinople and do our country some good. China's trying to reform, which is totally sensible. Alright, so what is our plan? Well, we'll go after Egypt to take over a bit of their lands, probably the Egyptian desert. Once we take that over, we will move against Romania. Yeah, we'll go against Romania. We'll remove them from our sphere and start lowering relations with them over time. And we'll just try to puppet them. We'll puppet the Romanians. And we might even just directly annex the rest of these states, Serbia and Yugoslavia. And when we annex Yugoslavia, we can use the trick that we were going to use against the Egyptians. Oh, what? It's Bosnia again? Ah, bummer. That's annoying. Why are they Bosnia? Wait a minute. German Bosnia. That's because of the German pan-nationalists. Wow. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to take Bosnia from Germany, but it's not like we are strangers to having weird little exclaves of foreign countries in our rightful territory. So we'll clean them up as best we can as time goes on. Oh, and the Germans discovered Tutankhamun's tomb. How annoying of them. Alright, we'll remove Romania from our sphere. We'll probably just go after Afghanistan next, since we haven't really planned this out as much as we should have. And we do want Afghanistan to be in our country. So let's actually see. There we go. We've got our casus belli. We will check out civilization level, 60%, or I guess we don't get to see theirs, 70%. Alright, so we don't have any terrible rush, but we will go ahead. Oh, and they're protected by Japan. That's kind of tedious. Well, we'll just go after them. Doesn't matter. I might even go against Kokand, Bukhara, and Khiva just to have those lands. We might release them as puppets just have little buffer states. We'll go ahead and take the Egyptian desert, rove on over. Alright, and this should be a quick little war. Austria-Hungary declared war on Romania, which is kind of to be expected, but also a little unfortunate. We'll start decreasing our relations with them. Alright, and I would be shocked if this war... Hey, look, we're the first to the South Pole. But I'll be shocked if this war takes us all the way until the point where we're ready to declare the next one. And our people are nowhere near jingoistic enough to support adding another war goal. And there we go. We have a giant swath of desert. Greek Africa. That looks pretty terrible, but hopefully we'll be able to clean that up over the course of the rest of this game. Alright, and the Romanians are going to be pretty curtailed by the end of this one, which isn't optimal. I guess we'll see what they have left at the end of this war. Not that I really feel for them too much, since they, well, they're not our puppet yet, so no real reason to be so worried. Oh, and probably should have removed Punjab from our sphere earlier, so we're going to lose a few days' time. And I'll just roll on in. Alright, Romania is back down to their traditional level of control. Now we might even want to just go after Dobruja, although it doesn't actually have any Greek population, so there's no real reason to do so. And we will establish a protectorate out of Punjab. And it doesn't look like the Japanese have decided to intervene yet. They may still do so, and I am kind of expecting them to. But if they don't, then we'll just kind of get out of this for free, and that would be pretty nice. We can do the National Banking Act, which I don't really want to do, but there's no real reason not to, since it's basically free, and it'll just help us if we forget and end up getting loans, which we might do. Alright, and now we can declare war on Romania once we really get the opportunity to. Alright, we've annexed Afghanistan, further cleaning up our borders a little. And Persia's going to fall to reactionaries, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, Boxer atrocities. So we could go put down the Chinese. That's not really going to be a goal, though. Oh god, we probably need to worry about this group just kind of ruining itself with attrition. Looks like we managed to beat it to the punch. And let's see, we actually have 2 full armies out of this, so that's very good news. And let's see, just looking at what's left, we will go ahead and make that into 1/2 army. Actually, we can just make it into, well, nearly, but not entirely, another army. Let's see. We can actually build quite a few troops, so we'll actually build 3 dragoons to get that all the way up to full strength, 2 artillery. What else does it need? Alright, 3 dragoons, 2 artillery, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll actually do it. And, we may as well just build an entire other army after that. And that'll work since they already have the engineer group. And that'll be an entire additional army. And there we go. We'll just keep pumping out forces as we will need it over time. Our people want better work days. Unemployment subsidies, we'll give them that since, well, not a lot of people, but a few are unemployed. The Punjabi menace, they are coming straight for us. Clearly, can't you see? And then we'll move up. Alright, we can establish a protector against Punjab. We'll go ahead and... oh, cool, we can make a puppet out of Romania. We'll go ahead and do that, and that'll be the extent of our empire in this direction, although we might free some of their lands from Austria-Hungary. And we might want to clean up those two small states over there, but we'll wait, We don't need to, we're not in any big rush. Truce until 1915, and then we can start cleaning up the Ottomans even more. So this is really one of the more, I mean, it's interesting because we could at any moment be declared war on by all the great powers in the world, but they're not doing that, so this is really just the moment where we get to scramble for the rest of the world. Without even the hint that we need to care about global opinion, which we did once have. I really don't want to declare war on Najd. We'll lose the 20 prestige. And we will reduce the US's opinion of Sokoto, or the opposite. Get some shadowy cabals. Can't really have a state without shadowy cabals. Not in Victoria, too. Alright, we can add Romania to our sphere of influence. We'll do that after we overrun them in some massive military invasion, as is our way. And then after them, we should probably pick a target. So Hejaz, we have a truce with. All the other states are kind of inconvenient to reach. We will go after Serbia next. And we will just annex the Serbs outright. Get ourselves onto the Danube. Austria is allied to Russia, so we'll probably avoid provoking them, at least for the moment. Although we may provoke them later on. And really, we're probably going to want to do that before our truce runs out. Let's see. We'll go ahead and let our people be more fascist, since we're probably going to go fascist later on anyway. If we need to. Ideally, we'll just stay a kingdom. Although I don't know what the fascist flag for our country looks like. It might be cool. Alright, now we're all the way that way. Hopefully the British will have some sort of revolution. That would be very nice. And then we'll just swoop up more of India. Looks like the Swiss are pulling into France. Which may be, well, I mean, I don't think that'll be long-lived, to be honest. But more power to them. Decrease those Serb relations a little bit more. And then in about a month, we'll go ahead and justify war against them. Just move a little bit further, step by step. That's how we're going to take this. And the next time a great power declares war on us, we'll just roll into their lands. Austro-Hungary declared war on Italy. Very interesting. The Austro-Hungarians are getting bold. What we might do is... no, we can't declare war on Russia first. Oh, we forgot to remove them from our sphere. That's inconvenient. I am tempted to fight the Germans and try to take over Bosnia. But they have very high relations of us. So we won't do that. Let's go make the Romanians a puppet. Into a puppet. And we'll just charge along. Should be no trouble. And there we go. A new army. We'll just roll that on in. Alright, March 15th we'll be able to do this. And we will just conquer Serbia. Take this new army and roll it up. Tons of notifications. That's really going to be the way that this goes for the foreseeable future, though. Just tons of war updates, basically. But they should be willing to make peace fairly soon. They're not a very powerful country just to begin with. Huh, and I guess the French made a white peace with Switzerland. I'm not sure who wanted what, or if anything. I mean, obviously someone wanted something, or there wouldn't have been a war. What probably happened was the Swiss... Ooh, Italy is expanding their war against Austria-Hungary. What might have happened was Switzerland declared war against the French because they had no army, but then the French mobilized and had a tremendous army. The AI seems to forget about mobilization, or maybe it just never knew about mobilization to begin with. Alright, will they make peace with us? Not yet. Soon, though. Alright, so we'll have a Romanian puppet state fairly soon. We'll roll into Serbia next, Montenegro afterwards. Big Romanian revolt. And now that is our problem. And we'll go ahead and get them their cores at some point, if we have time. Alright, click through all these battle reports. And I believe we can go ahead and... oh no, we'll have to increase opinion. Well, we'll be able to get them in our sphere soon enough. Russia is a secondary power, that's interesting, and Austria is a great power. Not entirely something I would have suspected. Also, it's kind of annoying that we would have to, by the looks of it, expand all the way up through places like Ukraine and take over Crimea and another bit of land, and probably all the way up into Russia a little bit. Take over all of these states before we would be one contiguous empire according to the game, since that doesn't count. We'll go ahead and create this state. And yeah, we have a moment of peace. Isn't that interesting? I was going to label this episode the Peace to End All Peace, since I figured we would be at war constantly. Although it looks like we are actually getting a little bit of actual peace time. So that's kind of cool in an odd sort of way. We'll go ahead and get more industrial techs. I imagine we're going to have a huge just boon to our factories and all that coming up. We'll decrease the French relation in Sokoto. Now, we're not really going to go after places like Ethiopia. We probably should be going after Spain, to be honest. So we'll go after Spain after Serbia. We'll lower their relations a little bit, as we do want to kick them out of 5 states. So we might not have time for that, but we'll try. And the Austrians are back to being allied with the Russians. There's 3 states that we need to be constantly fighting. We're going to have to constantly be fighting the Spanish, the Persians, and the Egyptians, and also kind of the Ottomans, but not so much. So we'll just kind of swing back and forth against those 3. We just have to hit the Russians one more time, and we might hit the British and the French to push them out of North Africa, and then also the Spanish if we go after all of that. So yeah, we'll just see how we're able to do at that. We are going to have to keep justifying wars basically every moment that we get the chance. Oh, attend the 5th Olympic Games. We hosted the first, I want to say, and then never got another chance, so that shows that we are at least in something of a moment of peace. French communists are rising up, just doesn't seem like they're rising up in the metropole. Poland's declaring war. Did Russia join? It did. Well, bad news for Poland then. Although good news for us, because apparently the Russians really kicked up their economic adventures. And that's pretty good if you are making money off of their taxes, and we are. Alright, let's see. It'll be a place in the sun. They didn't turn any of these things into states, which is great news, sort of. Alright, place in the sun, we'll go after that. We could... We We could take Spanish Hail first and then Spanish Yemen and just wait until there's one Egyptian state left and then do that whole liberate country plot. And we might do that. That'd cut down the amount of wars we would need to fight considerably. Alright. Oh, right, we need to declare this war. Rush on into Serbia. Yeah, this isn't really... I mean, it wasn't going to be a contest to begin with, but it's certainly not going to prove to be one. I honestly expected that we would be fighting off some giant horde of enemy states by now, but not so far. And that's good. That's for the best. I mean, I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but if it didn't, then that'd also be pretty cool. We'd be very lucky and just, honestly, be a little anticlimactic. Not saying that I want our country to be put into the point where we're almost certainly going to die and we have to do some crazy struggle. But I mean, it would definitely be more fitting. I mean, Alexander didn't take his empire by just kind of walking through it, although, you know, I guess arguably he did somewhat. But it wasn't the main thing. The main thing was there were some significant battles, and it was this big, crazy, impressive thing. At least that's how we choose to remember it. And that's because that's a more interesting story. I mean, come on. Who wants to hear the tale of, and then we just kind of rolled in and took over the place? Which, I mean, you know, Alexander did do, but it was still impressive because no one expected it. At this point, you know, this is the equivalent of once Alexander has defeated the Persians and managed to make his way through Afghanistan and figure out how to defeat, you know, wandering horse archers. This is the point where he's just rolling through India, just kind of getting bored, and then he, you know, screws up and gets horribly injured. So we're at that point in this adventure. Hopefully not, you know, exactly, but, you know, it's somewhat like that. Let's see. All these places are in our sphere. Najd likes us. We weren't really staying on top of this enough, which is really just a constant refrain. Well, we will go ahead and decrease Najd's relations of us. Oh, that's not the right thing. I didn't mean to do that. Well, who else do we want to fight? We're going to declare war on the Spanish right now. And other than that, we're pretty much good to go. We could take Dalmatia from the Austrians, but that risks the Russians intervening. What percent of our people support jingoism? Let's find out. There's two ways of finding it. We'll go over here to people, find some jingoism. It's 4%, so nowhere near enough. Yeah, we really should have justified on Najd or got their relations with us down a little bit. We will decrease the Austrians' relations of us. I guess we could go into Kokand, although I don't really want to. Ethiopia is probably a good target, though, so we'll just go acquire a state from them. And our armies aren't in position yet, so we'll just hold on for a moment. And while we're holding on, let's see, we're going to go after Spanish Hail. And then after that, we'll go after Montenegro. So we'll just start removing... Oh, that's the wrong thing. See, I did the diplomatic sort of thing. We aren't trying to do that. We're trying to decrease relations like so. Oh, Georgian nationalists. That's kind of interesting. We'll just go manually smash those. And we'll just lower relations a couple times with the... Well, this is ourselves. Come on. Montenegro, there we go. We have to reduce relations 4 times and then kick them out of our sphere. Looks like Italy managed to get a lot of their lands back, including, unfortunately, Dalmatia, which we are going to try to take from them. Alright, so right now we will go after Spanish Hail. There we go. 7 war score. should be over fairly quickly. Can't imagine they'll put up too much of a fight for it. Could be surprised. Oh, there's their army. That's inconvenient. And they have another one. That's very unpleasant. Well, we'll just kind of rush into them and hope that it works. Alright, they're avoiding us in one of these instances, so that's very good. Get some advanced metallurgy. Alright, so it looks like we may be able to just roll through them. And that's really the objective. Alright, so that wasn't really just steamroll or anything, but we are doing well. We do have far more troops than they have. So anything that isn't just an entirely lopsided battle that sees us getting defeated will be good overall. And it looks like they don't have gas attack, or if they do, then we have defense against gas attack, and that's kind of the same thing. At any rate, they don't have defense against gas attack. And we're going to just wipe out all these armies in the region. And that will pretty much be that. And we're justifying on Ethiopia right now, so it's good that we have our armies all right over here. Alright, so that should be good. This force will come down. Looks like the Spanish are actually being a little proactive, which I didn't anticipate to that extent. So we'll go bring these guys over and we'll go defeat that army. And then these guys will just roll on through and smash the remains of the Spanish army. And that'll be good. We'll go roll up here in case they try to go around. And it looks like we either cut them off or they just weren't going there in the first place. Either way, we've got a fight on our hands and their army is destroyed. And now they're ready for peace. Unfortunately, we still can't add a war goal because our people are not too fond of all these wars we're constantly being in. Yet, that doesn't really matter. Oh, cool, we can just march through all the Spanish land, since our troops are Bulgarian nationalists. But since our troops are all black flagged, we could just walk on through Ethiopia. And then we'll just deal with it later. In just a few moments. Well, 123 days. So we'll just keep devouring Ethiopia. They are one of the larger states we're kind of after, so we do need to be devouring them piecemeal if we are actually trying to. We will go ahead and give our people voting. That should increase their desire to be jingoistic, since they're not going to want reforms nearly so badly. Cool, Djibouti is now Greek enough. And yeah, so we just need to take over 2 more Egyptian states. In that time, we'll take over 1 more Spanish state and try to gobble up all of these. And then we'll be able to go back against the Persians in 1915. Limited constitutionalism, well done us. And we're going to have an election. And a lot of people are fascist. And we can't add these guys to our sphere yet. But we could mess with Sokoto a little bit more. And we will do so. Just kind of lowering other people's relations of them. Unfortunately, no giant revolutions have been occurring. I mean, Eastern Europe's just kind of a bloodbath, but, you know, what else is new? Alright, yeah. Let's see, what state are we going to go after? Long live the king. Really, we don't have very many options. We'll just go after Ethiopian Amhara. And maybe if we're lucky, it turns out they only have 3 states. I don't know why I thought they had more than that. Although I thought they had more than that several episodes ago. I guess I just didn't really check. I thought I checked. I could have sworn, but nope, guess not. Alright, so we will establish a protectorate out of Najd. We'll go ahead and get ourselves some laissez-faire, since I don't really want to deal with the economy anymore. And we'll start justifying against Montenegro when we get the opportunity to do so, which shouldn't be too far off. We'll get aeronautics. Alright. And unfortunately we're going to have to fight the Germans at some point, so that'll provide at least something of a great war. We'll probably save that for later, though. Let's just let those people be upset rather than socialists, since we don't really want socialism anymore, since it doesn't really benefit us. And I believe we'll be able to go to war against Hejaz pretty soon, so we'll take them over, and then Egyptian Hail in the next war, just to clean that up a little. Oh right, we're still invading Ethiopia. And that should just smash their army. I don't believe they have anything like the techs we do. We'll give everyone full citizenship, simply because, no reason not to. Our population is only something like 8% Greek, and that was before the war, before the Great War ended. So yeah, we're actually still 8% Greek, still 13% Chinese, though. And yeah. Ooh, Russia wants some Polish land. Not terribly surprising. They probably lost all their cores, though, since it was a crisis. Can we add another war going against you guys? No, our people still don't like war all that much. Oh well. I guess there's no real reason to move these armies too far away. Amhara, we'll go ahead and make a state out of. That's pretty cool. Why were there Greeks here? I guess we just had so many Greeks in the other areas. It doesn't seem like we have any Greeks here at all. Weird. That's very weird, actually. I don't see why that would allow us to make a state. Oh, I guess because the Ethiopian portion was already a state? I didn't realize that was how that worked. Interesting. Alright, well I guess we're not going to worry about that too much. And let's see, we are justifying against Najd. We'll go ahead and remove Montenegro from our sphere. Some liberals won. They're pro-militant, but that's not entirely what we want. We'll go conservative for now, since I don't really want a fascist coup. We might get a fascist coup later on, and that would be kind of cool. But, I mean, it's guaranteed that we would get a fascist coup if we let them. So I don't really want a guaranteed fascist coup. Well, okay, if it was something that was just kind of a risk, I'd be like, oh, let's see. Let's play the numbers. But since it's guaranteed, it's just kind of like, nah, we'll wait until we actually want to do that. And then if we decide that we do actually want to do that, then it'll probably happen within a year or two of putting them in power. Alright, so who are we going to target next? Hejaz. And we can, so that's good. And all we'd have to do with Abu Dhabi is take them out of our sphere. Oman, we will decrease relations with a couple times. So yeah, this is cleaning up pretty nicely. Conquest against Montenegro has been discovered. Alright, so we probably won't actually go after Hejaz next. I think we will be able to go after the Persians. Since, yeah, in July, we should be able to do that by July. And then the Egyptians will be in April of the next year. We'll have to go to war against the Russians. They're allied to the British, so that's kind of inconvenient. But we can probably get them into war just through the Austrians and hopefully cause their government to collapse. Well, I mean, I guess hopefully it won't have to be that. But if it does, then hopefully we'll get them to collapse. And when we invade Austria, that might be a good time for us to also invade Germany, and that'll basically constitute our next great war. Go ahead and get some more states. We're getting a lot of states these days. That's really good news. I wonder what our nationality map mode looks like. Getting more Greek. Still very Turkish, though. But yeah, Greek is popping up in more and more places. So, like basically all of the games that I play, we are going to, once this ends, do a time-lapse and see what happens to our empire up until, let's just say, at least the current day. Which, at this rate, will probably be something like October 12th, 2017. we'll see where Greece is at that point. Oh, and we can also justify war against the Ottomans fairly soon. And we'll go after Persia first since they have more states, and then the Ottomans next, and then probably the Egyptians, and then the Spanish. And we'll just keep circling through all of those guys in that manner. And we still have 108 days, so it'll be a little bit. We might not be able to fully take over the Persian state, though we are going to give it a good college try. Yep. So, has anyone's government collapsed? It doesn't really seem like it. Austria seems like they want to, but I don't think it'll actually go anywhere. We're still missing a little bit of an army, although we're doing fairly well. I wonder if we actually do have any tank factories or anything like that. Let's just deselect all. Automobiles. We do have a few. Tanks? No. Alright, that's not great. Let's see. Tanks are in high demand. Does anyone produce them? No. Literally no one produces tanks. Alright, it looks like the truce just ended. You can tell because we are hemorrhaging money now. So maybe it would be... Oh, God. Okay, so a crisis. They want to settle it in our favor. Would anyone even back us? I mean, if they will back us, then that's just absolutely ridiculous, and we're totally going to take that. Wow. Huh. That's interesting. The Germans might. If the Germans supported us... Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, because we don't really want anyone else's lands. I guess we could take over, I guess, the rest of Africa, because the British and French would definitely join against us. We could probably take over something like half of Italy. At least we could take over southernmost Italy. The big risk of doing this would be that Germany just doesn't support us at all. So we'll go ahead and just white peace. Simply because I don't think if they're at minus 2,000 something that they would actually support us. It just doesn't seem like a safe bet. It seems like it would just be us against a bunch of other world powers. Who knows though, maybe I made a poor choice. We'll probably get another opportunity at it if we find ourselves in a peace that goes on for nearly as long as this one has. April, May... okay, so we'll probably have about a month where we're not even fabricating a casus belli against anybody. That shouldn't be the biggest problem. Although, if we just remove a boo to buy, because yeah, we'll have May, but it'll take 100 so days, so we'll be slightly slower. I'm going to just wait, because it's more important that we just keep knocking out wars against Persia than really anything else. Go ahead and conquer Montenegro. Roll those armies right on in, and that'll be enough. Alright, wait. Okay, so we have 60 or so days. Yeah, we'll just let it happen. Yeah, 119. We'll just wait. Alright, we've got Montenegro. And let's see. We don't really need to upgrade our naval bases anymore. We'll just get the rest of our industrial techs. Hopefully we'll just keep industrializing at a pretty rapid clip. And then, oh, cool, we can already justify war? Sweet. Acquire state. Go ahead and rush that. I guess it's because they had a revolution. So we really should be encouraging revolutions among the people we're fighting, although that could slow us down considerably if it doesn't end up happening. Alright, so once that's done, we'll justify against the Ottomans, and once that's done... Nah, we don't need to remove them from our sphere right now. So yeah, we'll go to war with the Ottomans, and then when that's done, we should be able to go to war against Egypt, and then we might have a little bit of a gap where we can just eat these Arab states, and after that we'll go after the Spanish again. And that'll just kind of be the way it goes. Create a state in Zambia, don't mind if I do. Oh, more rebels. Let's build up our army a little bit. What do we need for this army to be completed? Alright, we don't have any artillery and 1 infantry, so we'll go ahead and rectify that. I wonder what happened to all of them. If there's some place just building up forces for no reason. Doesn't look like it. Alright. Get some dragoons. I know I'm like silent for this bit, but it's because I don't want to lose track of what I'm doing and end up making wrong armies. But it's basically the same, 4 infantry, 3 artillery, 1 engineer, 2 dragoons. That's usually a pretty good combination. You only need 1 engineer per army of 30,000. And 2 dragoons is good. Sometimes they take damage and they can't do recon as well as you would like. We should have military aviation at some point, but I don't know. Honestly, we might just... I mean, no one's attacking us yet. So we might be able to get away with just not modernizing our army. Although that is also kind of the definition of hubris, if we just didn't worry about it because we're already on top. Hopefully Russian communists overthrow their state and knock out all their alliances, which would be really cool for us. Don't know if we can really hope for that in a realistic sort of way. Maybe, though, if we're lucky. And it's not like we're really in a... We shouldn't be betting against ourselves, I guess is what I'm saying. And we're not in any rush to declare war against them, so it doesn't really matter all that much. If we're lucky, they'll have a revolution. If not, we'll just have a slightly harder war later on, and that's not really problematic. We have 180 infamy. That's really been shooting up over the past little while, as you might expect. Still have a little bit to go. Qinghai is trying to do some stuff against China. So yeah, there's really not much philosophically going on in our empire at this point. It's just kind of like, okay, let's take over the lands that we're able to take over, and hope that it works out for us. Another reason we didn't even bother with the crisis against the Ottomans is what we were going to take 1 Ottoman state. We were already going to take that. Maybe 1 Russian state. That was also something we're just going to end up taking later on in just another war with the Russians. So it really wouldn't have provided us any great benefit. It also wouldn't really have provided us any great downside either. But I mean, at that point, there's no real reason to do either thing. Now we might even go to war against the Egyptians first and the Ottomans second, just depending on if it takes long enough to get this war set up. Since it'll be 50 more days, so what would that be, sometime in April? Oh yeah, so that works out fairly well. We'll just go to war with the Egyptians. And we only need 2 more states from them, so that'll get us in a point where we can annex them in 1926. Let's see, 16, 21, 26, 31. We might conceivably be able to take over Persia. It might not work out, though. It'll remain to be seen. If they get another revolution and we're able to kind of bypass a truce, or if we're able to get our people jingoistic enough for another war goal, either of those things would work. Isfahan is where we're going to take. And we'll just run into their country as quickly as we can. I mean, it really wouldn't be an Alexandrian empire if Persia still existed as an independent state. I mean, that's really almost the definitional thing that we would need to do, is conquer Persia. And also Egypt. Really a lot of places. You have to conquer a lot of places to be like Alexander. Alright, so after the Egyptian war, we should be able to just spiral into a war with the Ottomans and then against the Spanish. Alright, so that's pretty much all planned out. That'll be good. That should be something we're able to do. And do fairly easily. Getting attacked by some very, very bold Persian forces. I don't think it's going to go very well for them. And in fact, we'll even bring some forces just to ensure that it doesn't. Although I don't think that was necessary. Alright. Good times in Greece. I'll try to find something more interesting to talk about before I shoot the next episode. Just since right now it's basically just, okay, and then we moved our armies further against the enemies of, well, not even really our enemies, just, and then we moved our armies further into lands that we wanted. Which I guess is kind of the same thing. Intermixed with maybe Russia will have a revolution. Maybe not. Can we add a war goal? Nope, people very un-jingoistic, how rude. And they say, I mean, historically, I think it was one place remained independent of a Persia that was largely subjugated, and then that rose up and took all of its lands back. We don't want to be those people who just kind of have to deal with the resurgent conquered people because we didn't manage to conquer them all the way. And that would probably happen in the time lapse. I'm kind of thinking about what would happen in the time lapse once everything else is said and done, and I can no longer jump in and put out fires. And I think realistically a large amount of what would happen is if we leave the Ottomans alive, they'd rise back up. If we leave the Persians alive, they'd rise back up. And definitely the great powers of the world would come and try to bludgeon us down. And, you know, the degree to which that would be successful depends on a lot. We're going a little bit over, and it's not like there's really anything super critical that's about to happen. So we'll probably just call it right here. Looks like our name is now way down here for whatever reason. And we'll probably just take over Egyptian Hail when we come back and just keep cleaning up these borders. It's a lot less border gore than it was, and that's positive. However, it's still fairly border gore filled. The next thing that I'll come out with will probably be an episode of the CSA series. I'll try to do that just totally diplomatically pure sort of route where we don't conquer anyone. The thing that's been holding that up is I haven't decided whether or not we were going to take over colonial uncivs. And I think we're not going to do that, because if we start, then it would lead immediately to us taking over China, and then we're just being pragmatic again. Only, at that point, it's just gamey. So we'll just be entirely peaceful. We'll see if we can colonize peacefully by upgrading our ports, but I don't know what likelihood we have of success in that. And I won't spoil anything. I haven't even recorded it yet, so it would just be conjecture. And I'll speak about that in that. At any rate, thank you very much for watching this. We have 20 years, about 19 actually left in the game. We have a few more wars we need to fight, and a few more wars we can just possibly fight, maybe to our advantage. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.